Welcome to our deep dive into women in tech leadership. We have some really cool research to share with you.
Looking forward to it.
It's about Sandy Rowley. Top SEO expert and web designer.
Oh yeah, I've heard of her work. Impressive stuff.
She's been in the game for over 2 decades. But here's the thing. This isn't just about her tech skills. It's about the psychology of success.
That's super interesting. What makes someone like Sandy thrive in a field that's, been traditionally male-dominated?
Exactly. So imagine 1999. Can you even picture the internet back then?
Barely. We were just getting past dial-up.
Right. It was already a pretty male-dominated field, but starting out then must have been even tougher.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The world of SEO was like the Wild West back then. And a woman running a web design company. Talk about a challenge. It wasn't just about proving your skills. It was about proving you belonged there.
So how did she break through that initial skepticism? It's one thing to say believe in yourself, but what did she actually do?
Well, get this. What's fascinating is that Sandy's strategy was like straight out of social learning theory.
Okay, how so?
Each time she got incredible results for clients, she chipped away at those doubts. She wasn't just meeting expectations. She was exceeding them consistently. And that built her rep.
It's like that saying, actions speak louder than words, right? She built her credibility by consistently delivering.
Exactly. And that's a key takeaway for anyone, really. Don't just try to fit in. Redefine what success looks like. And the proof is in the pudding. Sandy's won Webby Awards for her website designs. We're talking global recognition.
That's amazing. That directly challenges the stereotype, right? You're not just told you win awards that show you're at the top of your game.
Right. It's not about conforming. It's excelling on your own terms and letting the results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But it's not just awards. Sandy's also been recognized by Clutch.io. They evaluate B2B companies.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. They're pretty legit.
They named her a top SEO expert. That kind of third-party validation is huge, especially in a field where reputation is everything.
So it's clear she's got the tech skills. But the research really emphasizes her communication style. It describes her as down-to-earth, which seems kind of rare in tech, right? Why is that such a big deal?
It's a great point. The tech world can be notorious for jargon. It can feel exclusive, even intimidating to those outside of it.
Yeah, I get that.
But Sandy's approach is about building bridges, not walls. By explaining complex things in simple language, she builds trust and understanding with clients.
She's bringing them along on the journey, not talking down to them.
Exactly. It's like she's saying, hey, this SEO stuff can seem complicated, but I'm here to help you get it. That builds rapport. And rapport is key for any successful business relationship.
Especially in a field like SEO where things are always changing. I mean, Google algorithm updates, a nightmare for some people. But Sandy's been thriving for over 2 decades. What's her secret? Is she just constantly stressed trying to keep up?
Well, here's where we start to see some of those crucial psychological traits that make Sandy different. She's got this incredible mix of adaptability and a growth mindset.
Like, instead of being overwhelmed by those algorithm updates, she sees them as a challenge.
Exactly. It's an opportunity to learn and evolve her strategies. It's not about resisting change, it's embracing it.
She's like a surfer riding the waves of the internet, constantly adjusting to the changing tides.
I love that. That really captures the essence of what it takes to succeed in tech. And maybe in any field, come to think of it. It's not about being rigid. It's being flexible, curious, and always willing to learn. And that leads us to the core psychological traits that the case study highlights, which we see so clearly in Sandy. Self-efficacy, strategic empathy, and that growth mindset.
Let's unpack these. So what's self-efficacy and how does it play into Sandy's story?
Okay, think of self-efficacy as this unshakable belief in your own ability to succeed. It's not just being optimistic. It's a deep confidence that comes from overcoming challenges, from proving yourself again and again. And it's something Sandy has clearly cultivated throughout her career.
So the more she succeeds, the more she believes she can succeed, like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. It all goes back to those early days when she was building her reputation. Each successful project, each positive client review, it all contributed to her growing sense of self-efficacy.
Got it. So that gave her the courage to take on those bigger and more complex projects, right? To keep pushing her boundaries.
Yes. It's like a snowball effect, picking up momentum as it rolls along.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, what about strategic empathy? That sounds more complex. How does that fit in?
Strategic empathy is all about understanding your client's needs, not just from a business perspective, but a human one. It's recognizing that behind every website, Every project, there's a person with their own unique goals, challenges, and aspirations.
So it's not just about being nice, it's about being smart. Understanding your client's needs is good business strategy.
Absolutely. Sandy embodies this perfectly. By truly understanding her client's needs, she can tailor her solutions to resonate with them on a deeper level.
Which means stronger relationships, more successful projects, and ultimately, greater success for everyone.
Precisely. It's about creating a shared vision, a sense of collaboration. And that's something Sandy excels at.
All right, so we've got self-efficacy, strategic empathy, and of course the growth mindset, always being a learner. But the research doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. It acknowledges that, unfortunately, gender bias is still real in the tech world. How does someone like Sandy deal with that?
That's such a crucial point. Even with all her success, Sandy has undoubtedly faced her share of bias.
Yeah, that's the reality for so many women, unfortunately.
But here's the thing, she combats it by letting her work speak for itself.
So it's like you can have your doubts, but the results are right there.
Exactly. It's about being so undeniably good at what you do that those biases start to crumble. For Sandy, that meant consistently exceeding expectations, winning awards, earning those amazing testimonials.
It's almost like she's quietly but firmly proving them wrong with every project she completes. That's got to be empowering, don't you think?
I think it totally is. It's taking control of your own narrative, letting your actions speak louder than any preconceived notions.
Yeah. But even with all the success, I imagine there are still internal challenges. Finding work-life balance in such a demanding field can't be easy.
You're absolutely right, and that's something the case study addresses as well. It seems Sandy's approach involves a few key things.
Okay, what are they? I'm all ears.
First, she prioritizes her well-being. It doesn't go into specifics, but it makes sense that she'd be focusing on things like exercise, healthy eating, getting enough sleep, all that stuff we know is important, but can be hard to prioritize when you're running a business.
It's that put your own oxygen mask on first idea.
Precisely. You can't help others if you're running on empty. Then there's the delegation aspect. Sandy knows she can't do it all herself. She's built a strong team, one she trusts. This allows her to focus on her strengths while empowering others to grow.
That's a classic sign of a good leader, isn't it? Knowing when to let go and trusting your team.
It totally is.
Yeah.
It creates a more sustainable work environment for everyone. Finally, there's the power of network. The case study mentions Sandy's actively engaged with the tech community, going to conferences, mentoring newcomers, building relationships with other leaders.
So creating a support system, people who get the unique challenges of being a woman in tech.
Exactly. It's about recognizing you don't have to go it alone. Having mentors, peers, allies makes all the difference in navigating those challenges and in staying motivated.
It sounds like she's found this amazing balance, focusing on her own success while also fostering that sense of community. It's not just about climbing the ladder, it's about building a stronger foundation for everyone.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it speaks to the kind of leader Sandy is, someone who not only excels but inspires and empowers others to do the same. But we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to unpack.
I can't wait. We've covered a lot already, but it's clear Sandy's story is about way more than just tech skills. It's a masterclass in resilience, strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence applied to leadership.
And what's really fascinating is how those qualities help Sandy build a super successful company. I mean, it's a competitive field. One of the Webby Awards she won, get this, was for a website she designed for, like a major fashion retailer.
Wait, really? Fashion? That seems pretty far from the tech world.
I know, right? That's what makes it so remarkable. She took her SEO and design skills and applied them to a totally different industry, proving her approach works, no matter the niche.
So she's not just an SEO whiz, she's got a real eye for design and knows how to create a website that ranks well and looks fantastic. This actually reminds me of you. In your deep dive request, you mentioned you're interested in developing your own leadership skills.
Oh, that's true. It's a great connection. I think there are some really valuable parallels there. Whether you're leading a team, a project, or just your own career path, those qualities that made Sandy successful can be powerful.
For sure. So how can someone listening apply those qualities, those psychological traits we've been talking about? Let's start with self-efficacy, that unshakable belief in yourself. How do you actually build that? It's easy to say believe in yourself, but what if you're starting from a place of doubt?
Such a good question. One of the most effective ways to build self-efficacy is to honestly focus on those small wins.
Small wins.
Yeah, like start with achievable goals, things you know you can handle, and then celebrate those successes. Each small win builds momentum and reinforces that belief that, yes, I can do this.
Like getting those confidence boosts in a video game. Each one makes you feel stronger, more capable.
Yes, exactly. And as you get those wins, you'll find that self-doubt starts to melt away. Your belief in yourself gets stronger.
And that makes you more likely to take on bigger challenges.
You got it. It's a positive spiral. The more you believe in yourself, the more you're willing to push yourself. And the more you achieve, the more your confidence grows.
And that applies to any field, really.
Totally. Whether it's getting a promotion, starting a business, or learning a new skill, self-efficacy is key.
Okay, that makes total sense. Now, strategic empathy. That seems a little trickier. How do you get better at understanding and connecting with people on that level?
That's a great question, honestly. I think it starts with being curious about people. Take a real interest in their perspectives, motivations, what they're struggling with.
So ask questions. Really listen.
Exactly. Try to see the world through their eyes. Remember, it's not about manipulating anyone or getting them to do what you want. It's about building genuine connections based on understanding and respect.
And recognizing that everyone has a story.
They do. And those stories are often more complex than we realize.
So being open-minded, not judging, trying to see things from different angles.
It's a skill. Takes practice. But the more you do it, the better you get at connecting with people. And that can be so rewarding both personally and professionally.
This reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, how Sandy built such a successful business by creating strong, trusting relationships with her clients. That's a testament to her strategic empathy.
It totally is. It's not just about delivering a service, it's about being a trusted partner, a collaborator who really gets their clients' needs and helps them reach their goals.
It's like building partnerships, not just websites. Makes a huge difference, especially in something as personal as web design.
Exactly. Creating a shared vision, that sense of collaboration, it's something Sandy is amazing at.
Okay, we've got self-efficacy, strategic empathy, and of course, the growth mindset. But that's something we hear a lot these days. How can someone really cultivate that in their own life?
Great question. One powerful way is to embrace challenges. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
It's that turn lemons into lemonade idea, right? But honestly, that's easier said than done. How do you go from feeling defeated to seeing the opportunity?
It's definitely a practice. Won't happen overnight. But a good starting point is asking yourself, what can I learn from this?
So don't dwell on the negative. Look for those valuable lessons.
Yes. And it's okay to ask for help. Sometimes a mentor or a colleague can give you a fresh perspective.
It's like having those extra eyes to help you see potential where you might only see obstacles.
Exactly. And remember, a growth mindset means believing your abilities aren't fixed. They can be developed through effort and experience. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, try new things, even fail. It's all part of learning.
And celebrate those failures as much as the successes, right? Because they're all learning experiences.
Totally. Sandy embodies this so well. She's seen so many changes and disruptions in her time in the industry. But instead of resisting, she's embraced them, adapted, and thrived.
She's constantly evolving, staying ahead of the game.
That's exactly it. A growth mindset isn't about being perfect. It's about always being willing to learn and adapt, constantly striving to improve. And that can benefit you in any area of your life.
So whether you're learning a new skill, advancing your career, or just navigating life's ups and downs, a growth mindset can be a game changer.
It really can. But we can't talk about success without addressing the challenges, right? The case study doesn't shy away from the fact that even someone as successful as Sandy has probably faced work-life balance struggles.
It's such a relevant topic, especially now with this always-on culture. It's easy to get caught up and forget to take care of ourselves. What insights can we get from Sandy's experience?
Well, like we touched on, Sandy prioritizes well-being. It's not just working hard, it's working smart and making sure you're taking care of yourself physically and mentally.
That can look different for everyone, though, right?
Totally. For some, it's setting boundaries between work and personal time. For others, it might be mindfulness practices or whatever works for them.
It's that whole put on your own oxygen mask first idea.
Exactly. And then there's delegation. Sandy recognizes she can't do it all. She's built a strong team she trusts, which lets her focus on her strengths while empowering others.
That's a classic hallmark of a good leader, isn't it? Knowing when to let go.
It is. And it creates a more sustainable environment for everyone. And then there's the network. The case study says that Sandy's really engaged with the tech community. Conferences, mentoring, building those relationships with other leaders.
So creating a support system, people who get the unique challenges.
Yeah. and realizing you don't have to do it all alone. Having those mentors, peers, allies, that makes all the difference in facing those challenges and in staying motivated.
It sounds like she's found this amazing balance between focusing on her individual success and fostering that community. It's not just climbing the ladder, it's building a stronger foundation for everybody.
I love that. It's such a beautiful way to put it. And it speaks to the kind of leader Sandy is, someone who not only excels, but inspires and empowers others to do the same. But we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to delve into.
I can't wait. We've covered a lot, but Sandy's story is clearly about way more than tech skills. It's a masterclass in resilience, strategic thinking, and that emotional intelligence we were talking about applied to leadership.
Totally agree. And what I find really intriguing is how those qualities helped her build a successful company in such a competitive space.
Yeah.
One of her Webby Awards, get this, was for a website she designed for a major fashion retailer.
Wait, fashion? That seems pretty far from tech.
Exactly. That's what's so cool about it. She took her SEO and design skills and applied them to a completely different industry, proving her approach works no matter what.
So she's not just an SEO whiz, she's got this design eye and understands how to make a website that ranks well and looks amazing, which makes me think her approach probably resonates with you. You mentioned wanting to develop your leadership skills.
Oh, you're right. That's a great connection. There are definitely some valuable parallels there. I think whether you're leading a team, a project, or even just your own career path, the qualities that made Sandy successful can be super powerful.
Absolutely. So how can someone listening to this apply those qualities, those psychological traits? Let's start with self-efficacy, that belief in yourself. How do you build that? It's easy to say believe in yourself, but what if you're starting from doubt?
That's such a relatable question. And I think one of the most effective ways is to honestly just focus on small wins.
Small wins.
Yeah. Start with achievable goals, things you know you can do, and celebrate those successes. Each small win builds that momentum and reinforces that, yes, I can do this feeling.
It's like those confidence boosts in a video game. Each one makes you feel stronger, more capable.
Exactly. And as you rack up those small wins, that self-doubt starts to fade and your belief in yourself grows.
And then that makes you more likely to take on those bigger challenges, right?
Totally. It's that positive spiral. The more you believe in yourself, the more you're willing to push your boundaries. And the more you achieve, the more confidence you build.
And this applies to anything, really.
Absolutely. Landing a promotion, starting a business, learning a new skill. That self-efficacy is a crucial first step.
Okay, makes sense. What about strategic empathy? That seems a bit trickier. How do you get better at understanding and connecting with people on that deeper level?
That's such a good question. And honestly, I think it starts with just being curious about people. Take a genuine interest in their perspectives, their motivations, the challenges they face.
So ask questions, really listen.
Exactly. Try to see the world through their eyes. Remember, it's not about manipulating anyone or getting them to do what you want. It's about building genuine connections. Connections based on understanding and respect.
And recognizing that everyone has a story.
Yes. And those stories are often more complex and nuanced than we realize.
So being open-minded, suspending judgment, trying to see things from multiple perspectives.
Exactly. And it's a skill that takes practice. But the more you do it, the better you become at connecting with people on a deeper level. And that can be so rewarding, both personally and professionally.
This actually reminds me of something we talked about earlier, how Sandy was able to build this incredibly successful business by creating strong, trusting relationships with her clients. That's a testament to her strategic empathy, right?
It absolutely is. It's not just about delivering a service. It's about becoming that trusted partner, a collaborator who truly understands their clients' needs and helps them to achieve their goals.
It's like she's not just building websites, she's building partnerships. And that makes a huge difference, especially in something as personal as web design.
Totally agree. It's about creating a shared vision, a sense of collaboration. And that's something Sandy is amazing at.
Okay, so we've got self-efficacy, we've got strategic empathy, and of course, the growth mindset. We hear a lot about this, but it can still feel kind of abstract. How can someone listening to this cultivate a growth mindset in their own life?
It's a great question. And I think one of the most powerful ways is to embrace challenges. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, view them as opportunities to learn and grow.
It's that classic turn lemons into lemonade idea, but that can be so much harder to do in practice. How do you actually shift your perspective from feeling defeated to seeing the opportunity?
It's definitely a practice, and it won't happen overnight. But I think a good place to start is to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of dwelling on the negative, look for those valuable lessons, the lessons that can help you move forward.
So don't just focus on what went wrong. Focus on what you can gain from the experience.
Exactly. And it's okay to ask for help along the way. Sometimes having a mentor or a supportive colleague, someone to bounce ideas off of, can help you see things in a new light.
It's like having an extra set of eyes, someone who can help you spot those blind spots, see the potential where you might only see obstacles.
Exactly. And remember, a growth mindset is all about believing that your abilities aren't fixed. They can be developed, they can be expanded through effort and experience. So don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. Try new things, even if you might fail sometimes. It's all part of the learning process.
And it's about celebrating those failures as much as the successes, right? Because they're all valuable learning opportunities.
Exactly. And that's something that Sandy embodies so well. She's been in this industry for over 2 decades. And in that time, she's seen countless changes and disruptions. But instead of resisting those changes, she's embraced them, adapted her strategies, and continued to thrive.
It's like she's constantly evolving, staying ahead of the curve.
Right, and that's really what a growth mindset is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to learn, to adapt, and to constantly strive for improvement. And that's a quality that can benefit you in literally any area of your life.
So whether you're trying to master a new skill, advance in your career, or just navigate those ups and downs of life, cultivating a growth mindset can be a game changer.
It really can be. And it's a quality that's worth cultivating. But we can't really talk about success without addressing the challenges, right? And the case study doesn't shy away from that. Even someone as successful as Sandy has probably faced work-life balance struggles.
It's a topic that is so relevant for so many people, especially in today's always-on culture. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to take care of ourselves. What insights can we get from Sandy's experience?
That's a great point. And it's something the research touches on, although it doesn't go into a ton of detail. It does mention that she prioritizes her well-being. It doesn't specify exactly what that looks like for her, but I imagine it involves making time for things like exercise, healthy eating, spending time with loved ones. Those things that kind of nourish us outside of work.
It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to show up fully in any area of your life, whether it's work, relationships, or even your own personal growth.
Absolutely. And it's about setting boundaries, too. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and let work bleed into every part of our lives. But it's so important to create those clear lines between work time and personal time, and to protect those personal boundaries.
It's about giving yourself permission to unplug, to recharge, and just to be.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that taking breaks and making time for yourself isn't a weakness, it's a strength. It's what allows you to come back to your work with renewed focus, energy, and creativity. And I think this ties back to the idea of delegation that we talked about earlier. If you're constantly trying to do everything yourself, you're going to burn out. But if you can learn to delegate effectively, to trust your team to handle things, it frees up your time and energy. It allows you to focus on what matters most.
And it creates a more sustainable work environment for everyone involved. It's not about being a superhero. It's about creating a team of superheroes who can support each other, who can achieve amazing things together.
Exactly. You know, as we're talking about this, it strikes me that Sandy's story really highlights the importance of mindset. It's not just about her skills or her experience. It's about her attitude, her beliefs, her willingness to challenge the status quo.
It's about seeing obstacles as opportunities, embracing change, constantly striving for growth.
Yes, and it's about recognizing that success is not a destination. It's a journey. It's about constantly evolving, learning, and adapting, being resilient in the face of setbacks and never giving up on your dreams.
It's about believing in yourself, even when other people doubt you, surrounding yourself with supportive people who can lift you up and encourage you along the way.
And it's about recognizing that you have the power to create the life you want, the career you want, the impact you want to make on the world.
Wow, that's powerful. We've really hit on something important here. Sandy's story isn't just about her individual success. It's about a broader message of empowerment, of resilience, and the pursuit of excellence.
It's a story that can resonate with anyone who's striving to achieve their goals. And that doesn't have to be in the tech industry. This applies to anything.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we all have the potential to create something extraordinary, to make a difference, to leave our mark on the world. But we've been talking so much about Sandy. I'd love to bring this back to you. What aspect of her journey has resonated with you the most so far?
I'm so glad you asked that. It's easy to get caught up in admiring someone else's success, but what's really valuable is figuring out how to take those lessons and apply them to our own lives. Honestly, what's really stood out to me is how Sandy balances her drive with a genuine desire to make tech more inclusive and supportive for other women.
That's such an interesting observation. It's like she's not just climbing the ladder, she's building a bigger, stronger ladder for others to climb too.
Exactly. I think that's a really important lesson for anyone in a leadership position or anyone aspiring to be a leader. It's not just about achieving your own goals, it's about creating opportunities for other people to achieve theirs.
It's recognizing that true success is a collective effort, using your platform, your influence, to empower others and create positive change. I'm curious what part of Sandy's story really resonated with you. I mean, you requested this deep dive for a reason. Something about her journey must have sparked your interest.
Oh, you're so right. Honestly, it was her resilience. Starting a tech company back in '99 as a woman, and then not just surviving, but thriving for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
That takes serious grit, and it's so inspiring.
It's a testament to the power of perseverance. Not letting setbacks define you, picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and trying again and again and again.
Yes, and believing in your vision, even when other people doubt you, that's something we can all learn from, no matter our field or goals.
It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs and never losing sight of what you're working towards. But I think it's time we shifted gears a bit. Let's dive into some of the more technical aspects of Sandy's expertise.
I was just thinking that. We've talked a lot about the psychological stuff, but she's also brilliant at SEO and web design.
Right. We can't overlook the fact that she's at the top of her game technically, which is how she's achieved all this success in the first place.
Exactly. So let's get into some of the key takeaways from the case study about her technical expertise.
Okay, I'm ready to geek out a bit. I know from your deep dive request that you're especially interested in how she's adapted her strategies to keep up with the constant changes in SEO.
That's a great place to start. The case study doesn't go into every algorithm update, but it highlights a few key principles that have shaped her approach.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
What are those guiding principles? What's her secret sauce?
Well, one thing that really jumps out is her focus on user experience.
That makes sense. At the end of the day, it's all about making websites that people actually want to use.
Exactly. And Google is getting better and better at recognizing those positive user experiences. So it's not just about cramming keywords into your content anymore. It's about making websites that are informative, engaging, easy to use.
So put yourself in the user's shoes. Ask, what am I trying to do on this site? What information do I need? How can this website make that process as smooth as possible?
Exactly. And Sandy is a master at that. She's got that design eye. She understands how to create websites that are visually appealing and intuitive. That's key to her SEO strategy, because if people are bouncing off your site after a few seconds, it's going to hurt your ranking no matter how many keywords you've got.
It's a holistic approach, right? SEO isn't just a technical checklist. It's about making a website that people genuinely want to use.
Exactly. And that's something Sandy's been saying for years. SEO is not just algorithms, it's people.
Understanding how people interact with websites, what they want, and how to create content that meets those needs.
Right. And another key principle is her focus on quality content.
I knew you were going to say that. Content is king, the mantra of the internet.
Exactly. And Sandy lives by it. She knows that in today's world, it's not enough to just have a website. You've got to have a website that delivers valuable, informative, engaging content.
So it's not just writing for search engines, it's writing for humans.
Yes. And that means well-written, well-researched content that's relevant to your audience.
So it's about being an expert, knowing your audience, and being able to share that knowledge in a way that's both informative and engaging. And Sandy really excels at that.
She really does. She's got this deep understanding of SEO, web design, and how users behave. And she blends all of that into content that's valuable and compelling. And what I find really interesting is that focus on quality goes beyond just writing. Sandy's also big on the power of visual content, especially video.
That makes sense. These days, people consume content in so many different ways. It's not just reading blog posts anymore. It's watching videos, scrolling through social media, engaging with interactive stuff.
Exactly. And Sandy gets that. She recognizes video's power to connect with people, tell stories, and build relationships. And she's used it in her marketing in such a smart way.
It's about meeting your audience where they are and giving them what they want.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important takeaway for anyone trying to build a successful online presence. It's not enough to just have a website. You've got to offer a rich and engaging experience. And that means multiple kinds of content.
So think beyond just writing. Bring in those visuals, videos, and interactive elements.
Exactly. And be adaptable. The digital landscape's always changing, so you got to be willing to experiment and evolve your strategies as needed.
Embracing that growth mindset we were talking about, being a lifelong learner, recognizing there's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. And that's a mindset Sandy embodies so well. She's not afraid to try new things, to push those boundaries, and to constantly evolve. That's how she stayed at the top of her game for so long.
It's inspiring, to say the least. And it reminds us that success isn't about staying stagnant, it's about constantly learning and growing.
So well said. And it's really interesting to think about how Sandy's approach to SEO and web design is like a mirror of her approach to life in general, creating authentic connections, providing value, constantly striving for growth.
Like her personal philosophy is baked into every aspect of her work.
Exactly. And I think that's a big part of why she's so successful. She's not just going through the motions. She's going her whole self to everything she does.
And that's something we can all learn from, no matter our field or goals. Being passionate, authentic, and committed to excellence.
Beautifully said. As we're talking, I'm reminded of another key aspect of Sandy's technical expertise that we haven't really touched on yet. Her data-driven approach.
Yes, the numbers don't lie. Tell me more about how she uses data.
Well, the case study doesn't get too specific about the exact tools and metrics she uses, but it does emphasize that she's very data-driven. She's always tracking her website's performance, analyzing user behavior, and she uses that data to refine her strategies and get better results.
So making informed decisions, not just going with your gut.
Exactly. And being able to adapt based on what the data is telling you.
So it's not enough to just feel like something's working. You've got to have the numbers to back it up.
Right. And Sandy gets that. She's not afraid to experiment, to try new things, but she's always measuring her results. She uses that data to guide her decisions.
It's almost like she's running these constant A/B tests, always looking for ways to optimize and improve.
Exactly. And it's an approach we can all learn from, whatever our field, running a business, managing a team, even just a personal project. That data-driven approach can be so valuable.
Taking the guesswork out of decision-making, making sure you're making choices based on solid evidence. But we can't forget about the human element either. We can get so caught up in the numbers that we forget that ultimately it's about connecting with people.
Such a crucial point. And it's something Sandy never loses sight of. She's amazing at using data to shape her strategies, but she never forgets that the end goal is a positive user experience.
It's finding that balance then, the analytical and the creative, the data and the human connection.
Exactly. And I think that's such an important lesson for anyone who's working in the digital world. We can't let the technology overshadow the human element.
We've got to remember that behind every website, every click, there's a real person with their own needs and desires.
Well said. And it's fascinating to think about how Sandy's story really highlights where technology and psychology intersect. She understands both the technical side and the psychological principles behind user behavior.
It's like she's cracked the code, both literally and figuratively.
I love that. And I think it speaks to her unique skills and her ability to think about these challenges from every angle.
It's about seeing that bigger picture, understanding how all the pieces fit together, and then using that knowledge to create something truly extraordinary. But we've covered a lot here. What would you say is the most important takeaway?
That's a great question. There's so much to unpack. But if I had to choose one, it would be the importance of a growth mindset.
I knew you were going to say that. It's a theme woven through her whole journey.
It really is. And it's something that we can all benefit from no matter what we do or what our goals are. A growth mindset is about believing that your abilities aren't set in stone. They can be developed, expanded through effort and experience.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to embrace those challenges, learning from mistakes, always trying to improve.
Exactly. And it can be so empowering because when you believe you can grow, you're not limited by where you are right now.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
It's recognizing that you're not a finished product, you're a work in progress, and that's exciting.
Totally. And I think that's one of the most inspiring things about Sandy. She's been in tech for over 2 decades, but she's still learning, growing, and pushing herself.
She's never satisfied with the status quo, always innovating and trying to create something new.
And we can all adopt that, recognizing there's always room for growth. always more to learn, a better version of ourselves waiting to be discovered.
But it's not just about individual growth, right? It's about using that growth to make a positive impact.
Absolutely. And Sandy's a great example of that. She's using her success and knowledge to empower other women in tech, creating more inclusive industry and making a difference.
Recognizing that success isn't just about your own goals, but about using your achievements to lift others up. Create a better future for everyone.
Beautifully said. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how small. But we're getting close to the end of our deep dive, and I want to make sure we leave you with something actionable.
I love that. Let's get practical. What are some concrete steps that someone listening to this can take to start incorporating these lessons?
Okay, great question. The most important thing is to start small.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Exactly. Pick 1 or 2 areas where you want to grow. Maybe it's leadership skills, cultivating that growth mindset, or communication, and then set small, doable goals for yourself.
Break it down into bite-sized chunks.
Exactly. And then, as you achieve those small wins, you'll get that momentum, that confidence to keep pushing you forward.
It's like that positive feedback loop that fuels your growth and inspires you to keep going.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. Find mentors, join communities, connect with people who inspire you.
Recognize that you don't have to do it alone. There are so many people out there who want to support you.
And you know, as we're talking about this, I'm struck by how we've come full circle. We started with Sandy Rowley, this amazing woman who's achieved so much.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about you and your potential to achieve your dreams and make your own mark.
It's a reminder that inspiration can come from anywhere, and that we all have that power to create something extraordinary.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful message to leave our listeners with.
But we're not quite done yet. We've got one more part to this deep dive. I'm excited to see where it takes us. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I'm excited to wrap things up and solidify some of these takeaways.
Me too. You know, as we wrap things up, I think we should circle back to something really fundamental to Sandy's success, her personal brand. We talked about her skills, her communication, her mindset, but her brand really ties everything together.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a clear image of who you are, what you stand for, what you bring to the table. And Sandy's done that masterfully. Think about it. Even if you didn't know much about her before this, you probably have a pretty good idea of who she is now.
It's true. I'm picturing someone confident, down to earth, gets things done, passionate about helping others, especially women in tech.
Exactly. That's the power of a personal brand. You stand out, attract the right clients and opportunities, and build a reputation that precedes you.
So it's not about a logo or a tagline, right? It's about living your values in everything you do, online and off.
Totally. Walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And Sandy does that consistently.
But how does someone build their own personal brand? It can seem daunting, especially if you're not already super well known.
That's something a lot of people struggle with. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Start with identifying your core values, your strengths, what you're passionate about.
Like figuring out your superpowers, those things that make you unique.
Yes. And then it's all about finding ways to communicate those superpowers to the world.
So your website, social media, how you interact with people, it's creating a unified image.
Right. And being consistent. Your personal brand should shine through in everything you do. How you dress, how you communicate, the projects you take on.
Creating that sense of authenticity so people know what to expect from you. They can trust you to deliver.
Exactly. And that trust, invaluable, especially now. But building a strong personal brand takes time and effort. It's a process of refining your message, building relationships, and always delivering on what you promise.
So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a journey worth taking, because when you put in the work to build that brand, you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah.
But, we shouldn't get too focused on just the external aspects of success. What really impressed me about Sandy is how much emphasis she puts on inner fulfillment. It's not just about checking off goals. It's about finding purpose and meaning.
You're right. We talked about her drive and ambition, but she's obviously not just after money or fame. There's something deeper there.
Right. It's about aligning your work with your values, passions, and purpose. And I think that's crucial these days when it's so easy to just get caught up in the hustle and lose sight of what truly matters.
So how do you find that inner fulfillment in your work? It's easy to say follow your passion, but what if you don't even know what your passion is?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer. But I think it starts with being honest about what truly matters to you. What are your values, your strengths, the impact you want to make?
It's taking that time for introspection to figure out what makes you you.
Yes. And then find ways to align your work with those values. It might mean a career change, or just finding ways to weave your passions into your current role.
So even if you're not in your dream job yet, there are still ways to find fulfillment.
For sure. It's about finding those little ways to make a difference, to connect with that purpose, to feel good about the work.
It's like finding that sweet spot where your skills, passions, and the world's needs all line up.
Exactly. And I think Sandy's a great example of that. She's blended her skills, her love for design, and her desire to help others into this career that's successful and fulfilling.
Inspiring, for sure. It reminds us that we can create work that's both meaningful and impactful.
Couldn't agree more. As we wrap this up, I'm realizing that Sandy's story is really about the power of human potential. What's possible when you combine talent, hard work, and that willingness to face challenges head on.
It's a reminder that we can all create something extraordinary. We can make a difference and leave our mark on the world.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree. We've covered so much, the technical stuff, the mindset, personal branding, finding that inner fulfillment.
We really dug deep into Sandy's story.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got some valuable insights you can apply to your own life and career.
It's been a blast sharing this deep dive with you, and we hope it's left you feeling inspired.
Definitely check out those links in the show notes if you want to learn more about Sandy's work.
And remember, this isn't the end. Take what you've learned, use it, and keep reaching for your potential. We're rooting for you.